Hello and welcome to Let's Get the Skinny. I have another one of my alumni clients joining today, Bree Hill. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited for this episode.
I love talking to Bree, not only because she's one of my clients, but I actually remember, Bree, our sales call, if you will, when you were kind of obviously reaching out to me and wondered if 1010 would be right for you. And you were just so entertaining and so well spoken. So this is just to come full circle and have you on the podcast is super exciting. And it's also super exciting for a really important reason. And that's that, Bree, your story is a little bit more unique, or at least unique in that what people sort of think of my clients. So Bree came to me with, God forbid, more than 10 pounds of excess that she wanted to release. And that's actually something that a lot of my clients, both in my groups and one-on-ones, come with me with. And it's the method does not change. I don't only work with, almost skinny bitches, too skinny bitches. I believe that there is a skinny bitch within all of us. And so let's go ahead and kind of start with, Bree, your background with dieting, your body, your life. I know it's a really big question, but you were able to walk me through the story arc. I remember when we first met, and I was really, really taken aback by it. So the stage is yours.
Thank you. I mean there's so much to dive into, but here's always what I say. It's like for me, I feel like there's been so many roadblocks and I kind of had like almost all of them. Do you know what I mean? It's like checkbox, the bottom one is D, all of the above, and that's kind of me. So, my background with food and weight and all the different things, my relationship to self really is one of a lot of scarcity. So, growing up, we didn't always have like a place to live. I had a single mom. It was a hard situation. And there was a lot of scarcity in the, not always having a home. There was scarcity in not always knowing what we were going to eat. I remember one day my mom had actually gotten remarried at this time. She sent me like down the street to ask every neighbor for one egg. And I was probably, I don't know, 10. And she was like, just tell them we're baking a cake and ask everyone for one egg. And then you can come home and we'll have enough eggs to make dinner. Like it was, I've had Thanksgivings at food banks. I have had so many situations of not enough food. It's not surprising that as a adult, I was carrying some excess when I'm no longer in a place of not enough food. And I really resonated with your work on so many levels. But one of it was just because I, there's so much here. I not only come from poverty, not only come from a long line of obesity, not only have been on every diet since I was maybe 8 years old, not only seen my mom struggle with weight, not only seen my grandmother praise being restriction and crazy diets, and I haven't eaten today, and that makes me so good and worthy. It was also just my own interpretation of everything. And I realized when I found your page, and we can talk about that here in a second, I realized when I found your page that like I didn't need to live like there wasn't going to be enough food anymore. And I had been before 1010.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And I mean, I remember you mentioning in your story that there was a time that you felt like a skinny bitch. And so I'd love to kind of talk about what drew you to me, possibly what how I triggered you, but there was obviously something there. And I think for so many women, there's something there that clicks because we've all had moments, even if they're just fleeting moments of feeling maybe not amazing in our bodies, but like a taste of what it could feel like to feel good in our bodies. And so, what for you made it sort of click, or made you realize, like, oh yeah, like it's okay to want to be thin?
So there was three things, and you popped up on Instagram Reels. We love the algorithm some days. This is one of those days. You popped up in my Instagram reels, and it was one of your videos where you were talking about you can respond to the situation as the you that's carrying excess, or you can respond to the situation as the identity of a skinny bitch. And I noticed how much came up in my body when you were talking about skinny bitch. And the reason it was so violent for me is I had never, okay, background here, I have been on diet since I was 6 to 8 years old. Okay. Never once have I owned that I want to be skinny. Ever. It was always like, no, 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 I just want to like feel good. Or no, 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 no. I don't want to lose too much weight because I don't want to go down a bra size. Or no, 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 no. I just like am not eating normal food because of the glyphosate or whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Do you know what I mean? It was never just owning, I want to be smaller ever in my life. And I think it was so interesting. And I just noticed how triggered I was hearing you own, like, I help women who want to be skinny. And it's okay if that's not you, but if it's you, like, my work is for you. And I remember that moment of being like, I can either look at her page or like block this girl and move on with my life. And I just remember being like, wow, I've been on so many diets and I've been trying to lose weight for decades, decade and a half. And I've never even owned the fact I want to be skinny.
Wow.
That's wild to think about.
And isn't it funny that I talked about this on another podcast with someone who mentioned that, like, yeah, I do want to be in a smaller body, but yet that's so offensive or so wrong, right? And as you say, you kind of have to tiptoe around it and be like, no, 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 I want to be strong and healthy. Let's talk a little bit about your dieting history. You know, was there stuff that worked? Was there stuff that obviously didn't work? Because it's easy to just be like, oh, yo-yo dieting, like it was all just tragic. But most women have some aspects of like, okay, I almost made it, or I almost got it, or I thought this was it. What was it like for you?
Yeah, so I've been on every diet known to man because I've been dieting since 2003. But here's what it really comes down to is, did I ever see some results? Yes. Did I always gain more after that? Like I would lose 3 pounds on keto and be like, oh my God, the weight is falling off. But then you can't really live on keto. You know what I mean? Like you can't stay on keto and like have a nice life. And in my experience, I should say, it was like, well, I can be keto as long as I'm like sitting in my house and I can meal prep and I can go to Costco and buy abhorrent amounts of butter and vegetables. And then as soon as we're traveling or a friend invites me to dinner or something like that, it's like you fall off the wagon. And then when you fall off the wagon, you overdo it because you've been restricting and just all this stuff. And so for me, it wasn't so much, I would never call it a diet. I would always be like, oh, this is like this is a lifestyle change. And I would always be like starting something new and really demonizing food. And through demonizing food, demonizing myself for wanting those foods. So it would be like, oh, gluten is so bad. I'm only going to eat pasta if it's not in the US. And if I'm going to eat anything that's in the US, it's going to be grain free because the grains in the US are bad. And it was like, food is always bad. Food is always dangerous. Food is always scary. Constantly obsessing with how I feel with every little bite to the point of giving myself a stomach ache from stress and then being like, oh, I have a stomach ache. I can't eat this anymore. It was like literally when I joined 1010, it was like I could barely eat anything without a stomach ache. I would have a carrot and be like, I can't eat raw vegetables anymore. They hurt my stomach. I have to eat cooked, steamed veggies. I remember I had just followed somebody's account and it was like, it's not the foods you eat, it's how you prepare them. And we have to have water-based cooking only. And like, my relationship, I have been raw vegan, I have been keto, I have been carnivore, I have done calorie counting for sure, macros, I have done the gym bro, like eat 150 grams of protein. I have done it all. And every time it ended in me honestly feeling like trash and so upset with myself because it was just an obsession with food. And like something I told you when we started talking about this podcast is like food ran my life from the second I opened my eyes to the second I closed my eyes. And actually, in my dreams, I would dream about food because I was restricting so much. And so it really just comes down to I tried every diet. Every diet ended up in the same thing, which is it wasn't sustainable. I would overeat, I would gain more weight, and then I would be devastated and I would try to go find something new that was going to work this time. I know I said a lot.
Mic drop. Now, let's talk about some of the foods that you now
Mm.
eat that you feel like you would never have eaten in the past, and kind of what was like the mindset shift for you in order to eat those foods. Because I think, especially if we're carrying excess, there's like a lot of shame. Like for myself, I never wanted to eat in front of people. It's almost like we have this belief that, oh, I am bigger than I want to be. So I
Yeah.
obviously I should never eat again until I'm thin. Right. And so
Literally.
what was it like for you to not only, eat, God forbid, but then also eat these foods that you had demonized in the past?
Yeah. The pivotal moment in my time with you was the day I had ice cream and fries for dinner. And I like literally have
I
sent you so
wanted
many.
you to bring this up. I remember it.
So glad. So I was okay. I was hesitant about 1010 because I've tried everything. Really, the reason that I came to 1010 is because you really, on our call together, made it so obvious how this is difficult work, but is so simple, and really called me out on where I've overcomplicated losing weight. But not in the way that it's like so simple, just go do it. But like so simple, this is a choice that you get to make, and you get to respond as a skinny bitch to these situations, and you get to continue to be a skinny bitch. You know what I mean? And the day that changed everything for me, because I was kind of like, okay, I'm working with this girl. I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna do everything she says. And if it doesn't work, like I kind of don't know what I'm gonna do, but like I'm just gonna give it my all. You know what I mean? Like I'm a good student. Like I will do what you say to do. So I'm going through the process. My mind is blown every week. Every week I'm like, oh my God, transformation. Like it's mind blowing. Loving it so much. I'm doing, our coaching calls and all the things. And I remember there was a day and I ordered a chicken sandwich with a side of fries and a little ice cream sundae. Mind you, before this, I was doing low carb. So I have not had an ice cream sundae in maybe 6 months. So excited to eat this ice cream sundae. I was literally like, I'm going to eat the ice cream sundae first just because I'm so excited. So I eat the ice cream sundae. It's delicious. It's amazing. I love it so much. Then I'm like, try a bite of the chicken sandwich, and I don't like it. And I like eat the fries. I don't even know if I finished the fries. I eat the fries. And I remember sitting there and judging myself because I was like, wow, you have excess weight to lose and you just ate fries and ice cream. And I remember being so like, you should have had protein. And there was a piece of lettuce on the sandwich that you didn't eat. You're not eating your greens. And I remember all this self talk. And there's some beautiful resources in 1010 of basically like when this self talk comes up. So I immediately went in there. I immediately went in WhatsApp and just reached out to you. But I just remember the moment of being like, this is what it means to be a skinny bitch. It means eating the foods that feel good and not shaming myself for whatever that looks like. And I think maybe a week or so later, I ended up getting on the scale. And that was the first time I had gotten on the scale in 1010. I had lost several pounds. And I was like, wow, my whole life I've been chasing weight loss. And it literally is so rooted in unshaming and undemonizing food. And it was just like this moment of like, not only is like the relief of like, okay, this is working, but like I can live like this. And I remember getting on our next call and telling you, like, I've never been in a place where I'm like, I could just live like this. And I'm like in week 3. So like the rest of the weeks were amazing too. But like literally like week 3, week 4, I was like, no, I could just do this forever. And you were like, yeah, that's like, congratulations. Like that's what we're doing here. But it was just this moment of like, I can eat fries, I can eat ice cream, I can be a skinny bitch, and they all get to coexist. And never in my life have I seen that, experienced that, and I've never heard anyone talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to guess also, because I know that you didn't go on to then just eat fries and ice cream for the rest of your days, right? Because I think in our heads, that's kind of where we think that we'll go. It's like, oh, if I just have a little something that actually brings me joy, it's just gonna, all hell will obviously break loose, right? And I think that you touched on something so beautiful, and it's this aspect of, oh wow, maybe I was overcomplicating it, maybe I was wasting time, space, energy in my life that I could have just been living my life, right? And I always love talking to clients who have gone through the process and then kind of exploring, okay, how did you end up using that extra time and space in your life? Because it happens, right? We think that, oh no, I don't have time. Or even sometimes when I talk to women, oh, I don't really have time to the program, whatever. I mean, I never push anyone, but I always just think, I wonder how much time you are spending on thinking about eating, thinking about not eating, feeling guilty, like, how much money you're spending on all these different cleanses, etc. So how did you kind of navigate that? And did you experience that sort of opening up of extra space in your life that was no longer consumed by, food or restriction of food?
Yeah. Well, so I am a sales coach, and I not only have, and I told you this, like, I feel like I've gotten my life back. Like, I'm watching movies again. I'm enjoying my life. It's just, I live a beautiful life now because food is not dominating every second of it. And I'm not confused on what's going to work. And I'm not spending hours researching the next diet. And I truly have gotten my life back. What I did with that, not only like things I enjoy, like getting my nails done and I watched 3 movies the other day because it's like, oh my God, like I just have so much time. But I'm just gonna be straight up because this is like the kind of stuff that we talk about. I made like $500,000. Like, if we're all gonna be real about what I did, I made a lot of money. When I came to you, I think my business, and this is lifetime sales, was at right around 200,000, 250. And we're really close to 1 million right now. I would say 60, 90 days away. And the truth is, I had more capacity to help more people. I had an internal state of calm that I could navigate client situations, and they didn't bother me. I was able to detach and really take charge of my life, so I'm not feeling like this constant attachment to, just like being like this like cycle of stress and burnout and crash and all of these things, that they were real issues that I had never faced with you through food. And when we faced them through food, um suddenly it was like, oh my God, I have such a capacity to live more life. I have such a capacity to take more clients. I have capacity to run that next workshop, to open up that next offer, to whatever. And I made 350, $500,000 in the last couple of months we've been working together.
I love that. I think that's the title. What did you do with your extra time and space? I made $500,000, baby.
Yeah. What can I say? So I really think one of the biggest factors in me really getting to a place where I could do that through 1010 was, and I know I have so many friends when I talk to you, because I rave about you, obviously, to everyone now. But one of the biggest questions people always ask me, and I want to make sure we talk about it before we go, is, what if I have more than 10 pounds to lose? And I just want to go ahead and say, because I came to you with this question. I came to you with this question. Is why we had our sales call. It's why I ended up, working with you. And it was this big fear. And I know from me, and I know from what my friends have told me, it's like this point of shame of, I'm so ashamed I have more than 10 pounds to lose, that even being seen in that and stepping into this container is really vulnerable. And I remember, literally, I've never done this, but I almost like canceled our sales call. I'm so glad I didn't. But I almost canceled our sales call because I was so like, oh, nobody can help me. I've been through everything. I don't even know if this program is going to work for me. I don't even know if she takes people who are just like me. Like, I had this story. And I really just appreciate how, like you said in the beginning, the work 1010 doesn't change whether you have 5 pounds to lose or 50. 1010 is this protocol, and it's what changed my entire life, and I'm so outrageously grateful. And the thing I love the most about it is I can just live like this. And literally, I was getting dressed today, and these are the smaller clothes that I bought while I was in content, and I was like, these are a little baggy. Like, oh my god, these are a little loose. They're kind of falling off me. I might have to go get a belt for these yoga pants. Do you know what I mean? And I just remember, I was just thinking this morning as we're getting on this call. I was just like, I'm just so grateful that I was able to own what I wanted, which is to be a skinny bitch. I was able to own where I was, which is really scary and really vulnerable to even get on the call and be like, I have more than 10 pounds. Can you help me? And I'm just so like sending a big smooch to my past self who joined 1010 because I got my life back. And I've never said that in an offer container, anything.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I remember you mentioning around, burnout, panic attacks, anxiety, blah blah blah. Did you realize at the time that it was connected with food? And I'm not saying that it was because of food or, but everything is related to everything, right? And
Yes.
I'm curious as to, did you realize that the entanglement, and so that we can kind of also speak to others that maybe they don't think that these other issues that they have, like burnout, like panic attacks, all these things, I think so often we categorize them as something else, and we're not necessarily seeing that, like, oh, the disconnection that I'm having with myself and my body, and what's the most intimate connection that we have with ourselves? Eating, right? It's the most intimate ritual that we have with ourselves. And so I'd love for you to kind of maybe touch on that a little bit, because I think that so many women are struggling, especially with the burnout thing, because we all have to like be, CEO boss mans, and it doesn't always work for us.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So when I went to your page after seeing that skinny bitch reel, I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at this girl. The next reel I saw was something along the lines of food issues are always life issues. And I can't remember what you said, so I'm gonna absolutely botch it. But it was literally about how you behave with food is how you're doing life. And I noticed that one of the things for me, I can't remember what you said, so I don't want to like jump in there, but one of the things that I realized from before I ever talked to you, just from your free content, was how much of my life I was missing out on because of how I was treating myself, not just through food, but including moving through food. Um, and what I really identified was the I don't know. I always think about how I was treated as a kid, which is always kind of like, okay, just like go over there, like go over there, like go away, go over there, and just kind of like pushed to the side. And I realized that I did that with food to myself. It was really it was always doing more. It was always the next diet, and it was always the okay, well, I overate, so now I have to not eat. And it was just this constant punishing. And the constant punishing, the constant not enoughness, the constant shame was how I was behaving in my life, and it was how I was behaving with food. And I remember the moment I realized that, and I'm just so silly, I'm just always going to be this way, but I would remember the moment I realized my relationship with food is costing me money. And I was just like, I can kind of like talk myself around, like maybe I don't want to be thinner. Maybe I can like talk myself out of that. But I couldn't talk myself out of the fact of like, oh, I'm burnt out because of how I behave, including with food, not just because of food, including with food, and this burnout is costing me money. I could own the fact that like, oh, I'm not behaving in a sustainable way where I'm giving myself what I need to rest and recover to do more things, to take care of myself. This isn't self love. And I just remember being like, and I think I said it on our call. I wish we had recorded that. It'd be such a, we should like link it. But it's something along the lines of this is costing me money. This is costing me my life. And I don't want to go another was at a time, like I think I had just turned 27. And when I turned 27, there was something in me that was like, I'm not okay with this anymore. And it was it was the not being where I wanted in life. It was, you know, not having relationships. It was different things. But one of the things was waking up every day and being obsessed with food, the burnout, the punishing, the way I was treating myself. And the way that treating myself was being reflected back through my business, through relationships, through clients, through friendships, whatever. And when I turned 27, it was, I just remember being like, oh, I'm like, I don't know, like, this is, I thought I would be farther along. And when I realized, like, oh, I can change that when I get to the root issues, it was like your page came across a couple months later, and I was like, this is what's next for me. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question or if I went off complete tangent. There you go.
I don't even remember. I am like mesmerized by your words. I love you. And you know what? So I have to ask this because I've been getting it a lot. And it's women saying, you know, I get that it would work for everyone else, and I know that you've talked about this, but I can't help but think like, this won't work for me. Or there's something uniquely wrong with me though, Kiki. Right. And I see it every day. Someone will reply to like a testimonial that I'll post and like, that's so beautiful. I can't help but think that like, that could never work for me though. Yeah. And so what would you say, because I know that you are a queen of mindset, what would you say to someone who's listening to this? They're so inspired by you. You are literally like, as you said, I have every checkbox as to as to why this won't work. And yet it did. What would you say to the person who's just like, oh yeah, but I am uniquely special in all ways?
First, I'm going to tell you exactly what I tell my future clients when they say this to me in my DMs, which is, you're not that special. you are literally not so special that it's not going to work for you. You're just not. And the story that you are, that you're so damaged, that you're so far behind everything else, that you have too much weight or whatever, it's just a story that is literally rooted in self-sabotage, and it's keeping you where you are. That's what you really need to hear. I can tell you, oh my God, it's going to work for you because it worked for me. But the truth is, you can either own, like, I am ready to do this work. I am ready to give it my all. I am ready to do deep literally transform on such a deep level through food and go into 10-10. Or you can continue to believe the story that you can't be helped. That's like the mic drop. That's the final like end period, point blank, is because you can either have a story, and I did for so long, that I was the one that couldn't be helped, that everything I tried didn't work for me, that I was just so special. And when nobody else grew up homeless, and nobody else had a mom who was debilitated by weight, and nobody else had this, and nobody else had that, and nobody else had all these things. And maybe that's true, but the work didn't change. The work still worked for me. It's because you can have the story of, this isn't going to work for me because, or you can have the story of, I am going to do this work because.
I love it. And as you say, when you do the work works. And I do want to clarify that, you know, I don't have like a magic wand. Brie showed up and did the work, right? I love the way you're describing it, but I don't want people to think that like, wow, this is like some spell. You just open the portal and then you just become a skinny bitch. You like, as you're sitting there logging in, you're like, I need a belt. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, you do have to do the work. And as you said, it is simple, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't come with its challenges, because when you put food in order, like life surfaces, right? And you know, do with that what you will, whether it's make shitloads of money and just be a crazy skinny rich bitch. That's what I'm titling this podcast episode. Brie, it is so lovely to chat with you, and I know that you do some separate but actually very related work with obviously with women and sales. So I would love to encourage anyone in my community, whether you've worked with me or just listening and stealing all my free content. No, it's okay. I love you too. I would encourage you to check out Brie, especially if, you know, who do you most want to speak with, Brie, so that we can make sure that we're filtering all the right ladies into your world.
100%. So my entire story with food was also my entire story with sales, and I'll give it to you in 90 seconds. Here it is. I didn't have a sale for the first 5 years. I didn't have a single client for the first 5 years, despite trying every strategy, despite doing everything. And I had the story of nobody can help me. Are we seeing the correlation, ladies? I hope we are. What changed for me was when I literally did, it's very similar to your work, Kiki, with 1010. But when I did what I call feminine energy sales, which is really connecting with the real root issues of why I didn't have clients, which was not feeling worthy, feeling like staying broke was keeping me relatable. Like there's all these different pieces internally that were going on that were blocking what I was doing from actually working. When I shifted that, I went from 5 years of no sales to a $43,000 weekend. And now we're about to cross, just a couple of years later, we're about to cross $1 million since then. And what I really will tell you is the story of nobody can help me because was the same for me with food as it was for sales and business. And if you relate to that, whether you have an idea of a business but you haven't started, or you've been running a business for years, if you relate to that and you're like, I have a gift, I have work that's meant to be out in the world and nothing is working for me, and you refuse to be there and you're ready to go deeper and truly transform who you're being so you can transform the results that you're getting, that is my work.
I love it. And where I will obviously post all of the linky links in the show notes, but where's the best place for people to find you, reach out to you, etc.?
100%. The number one place to go is my free Telegram community. I deliver daily masterclasses on how to blow up your business and explode your income. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's completely free. I'm pouring in there, and you're going to start getting my emails, and it's just up and up and up from there. Women leave their jobs, make thousands, get pay-in-full clients just from my free community. That's where everyone should be.
Amazing. I will link that in the show notes for everyone listening. And of course, if you have questions about 1010, you, I bet, know where to go at this point. You can go to my website, kikiathanas.com. I have another group starting late March, and spots are already filling up. Thank you so much, Brie. I love you.
Thank you for everything.